Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Eden's Fun Crochet. I'm Eden, and this is the channel where we talk about everything crochet and craft related, but mostly crochet. Today, we will be doing a Q&A styled video where we talk about me and how I got to where I am today in my crochet abilities and things that I've done along the way. So we will start at the very beginning. I learned how to crochet when I was 10, 11 years old, one of those two. I went to a activity for church with other girls my age, around 10, 11 years old. And that day we were doing crochet. They took us to Joann's and we got to pick out our very own yarn, which was really exciting. I think we picked out cotton yarn because we were making washcloths. I don't remember. I just remember them being like little tiny skeins, which makes sense because that's what cotton yarn is usually in, is the little tiny ones. I remember getting something really colorful, but I don't think I still have the yarn for it. I am left-handed. They had 3 or 4 adults there, one of which they purposely brought because she crocheted and knit left-handed. She told me that it would be easier for me in the long run if I learned how to crochet with my right hand. That way I wouldn't have to worry about patterns or YouTube videos or anything like that I could just follow along and not have to worry about being different. Let me tell you, that was a challenge. I couldn't figure out how to do it with my left hand or my right hand. Everyone left there with half a washcloth, and I left there with one really poorly done row. I was really frustrated. It made me really mad, actually, that compared to everyone else, I kind of sucked. That everyone else could just do it and I couldn't. It was actually really hard for me, so I had my mom take me to Walmart and buy a super colorful skein of acrylic yarn. I sat in front of the TV. I felt like all day, it was probably only like an hour or two, and I chained with my fingers because it was easier. So I chained and I chained and I chained and I chained and I chained. That's what I did that day. And then I kind of gave up for a while. I still wanted to learn how to do it. I would try every once in a while, but between the 4 people at the activity that tried to teach me and my mom who tried to teach me, I just couldn't figure it out. And so my mom suggested asking her mom because she was a lot better at crocheting than she was. At the time, she would come down from Oregon every summer and visit all of her family that lived in Utah, which is basically all of my mom's family. After around that time is when she stopped coming to Utah as often, but that year she did come to Utah that summer, and I remember very distinctly we sat in my backyard on like one of those 4-person swings, and she showed me how to crochet. I was like, that's not how you do it. That's not how my mom told me. Anyway, she sat down with me. She was very patient. It helped that her teaching style just matched my learning style as a 10-year-old, and it helped really well. I know that, like, as an adult looking back, my mom and I had a really hard time with anything that my mom tried to teach me. Her teaching style and my learning style was, I don't know. I just remember anytime she sat down and teach me anything or help me with homework or anything, it was really hard and it ended up in just chaos. And I love my mom. We have a great relationship, and that was really hard, that it was hard for her to teach me things. I remember one time I was a teenager, an older teenager, and I just could not figure out my homework, and the way she was helping me just made me more frustrated, and my older brother came and sat with me. It took him like 1 minute to teach me how to do it, and it was so easy, and I was like, wow. So anyway, my grandma taught me. She sat with me and she was like, oh, you need to do this slightly different and you need to do this slightly different. So I had like the main gist of crocheting down. Like I actually knew a lot for someone who didn't know how to crochet. And so I figured it out that day. I learned how to single crochet. About a year later, she came back and taught me how to double crochet. That is how I learned how to do a single crochet and a double crochet. It was from my grandma sitting on the porch swing and teaching me how to crochet. My oldest brother, he kind of picked up crocheting somewhere after I did, and it kind of helped me to keep motivated because he would do a project and I'd be like, oh, I can do that, and then I'd start something. I did not do a lot as a kid. I did things here and there, and I kept crocheting. I always constantly had a project, but at that time it was just one project. I know I only did a few stitches here and there. It never got really big. At one point he gave me, I think, what was supposed to be a hat. I think I turned it into a purse, and I just like did that. And it taught me a lot about like how hard it is to see your stitches with dark yarn and things like that. So I crocheted on and off, like consistently, but not a lot, right up until I was 16. I met one of my closest friends at the time, and she was really into crocheting, and it helped me stay motivated. So that was right around the time I learned about Pinterest. And I kind of delved into crocheting more. It still wasn't like the height of my crochet. It was just the beginning of it becoming my personality. It was when I was about 16 years old. When I was a teenager, I did a variety of things crochet-wise. I think I mostly did hats. I know I made a stitch, like a Lilo and Stitch at one point, and sold it to a friend. Like it was a custom order thing. I think I sold it for like $16. But it also wasn't that great quality, so it's probably only worth $16. When I met my friend and I was learning how to crochet, like relearning how to crochet, I did a full-size blanket with blanket yarn. I made 2 or 3 mermaid blankets that were made out of blanket yarn. So I did a big variety of things. I don't think I did my first top until I was 17 or 18. But then I don't have many of the things that I made at that time of my life because I was learning. I've never been huge on following patterns. If I do amigurumi, I'll follow patterns, but most of the time I don't follow patterns. And so I have had to frog a lot of projects because of it. And it kind of sucks, but at the same time, I have a lot of like ability to make things without having to follow pattern because I choose to learn and learn from my mistakes and have things that I can't really use and then or like take them out and reuse the yarn instead. And so, yeah, I've made a lot of really cool things. When I was 18 and I moved to college, it definitely went up a lot. Like that is when I started choosing to do bigger projects and things like that. And then I went on a Christian mission to California for about 8 months. When I moved to college the first time when I was 18, I made a lot of small things. I made a backpack, lots of hats and like little pouches and small things like that. It wasn't until I came back from my mission and I started doing bigger projects and things like that. I also started doing scrunchies on my mission for some of the other sisters. I gave them scrunchies because they were easy and quick to make and didn't really distract me from the work that I was doing. And when I came back, I was kind of sick and I couldn't really do a lot. And so I delved way more into my crochet. That's when I started my YouTube channel and my Etsy shop, and I just kind of did a lot. That's when most of my YouTube channel was up, was right around that time. I met my husband at the beginning of 2021. That's when I met my husband and I started doing a little bit less with my channel. He is on my channel a little bit. That fall, he helped me open a yarn dyeing business, and I started doing that for a bit. I never like fully committed to it, and so it never like went big or anything like that. I only did that until December of 2023. In that time, I stopped doing YouTube as much, and I closed down my crochet Etsy shop, and I just had a yarn Etsy shop. And I also had 2 kids. In 2022, I had my oldest daughter, Josephine, and in 2023, I had my younger daughter, Whitney. And then that December, we stopped dyeing yarn. I still have some dyed yarn, and there's still yarn on my yarn Etsy shop, but it is just stuff that I've already had done. I'm not dyeing anymore. In 2024, it was kind of a busy year. We had moved right after my daughter was born in 2023, and I was working full-time. My husband was working part-time. Life was really crazy. I ended up quitting my full-time job to be a stay-at-home mom. And then early this year, in 2025, we moved back to this house. I have been working part-time at a candy shop, but I really haven't been doing a lot since being here. My husband has helped me create a space in our house, this room actually, a place that I can be creative and have to myself. I have found that having two children in my space all the time as an introvert has been really hard for me, and so he has helped me create this space. And with this space, I was like, but now I want to do more with the space, and so I'm starting to get back into crocheting and having an Etsy shop. I'm going to officially reopen in February. February is my favorite time of the year. It's my birthday. My favorite color is red, so I really like Valentine's Day. My favorite day to go shopping is February 15th because everything red is on sale. I'm not as obsessively red as I used to be, but I still really enjoy the color red. And so I really love February. So I will be doing my first crochet items drop at my Etsy shop at the beginning of February. Actually, let's make it fun and do it February 3rd because that's my birthday. So we'll do that. We'll have everything up on my shop and ready to be purchased on February 3rd. That's exciting. Let's do that. So yeah, that is my story and how I learned how to crochet and how it became my entire identity. I still do quite a wide variety of things, but I've kind of fallen in the clothing part of crochet. That's what I like to do. I like to make garments and things like that, and accessories. I really like to make hats, purses, little pouches, things like that. I just I'm like, oh, that'd be fun, and then I do it. I have some more complicated things in plan, but I might wait to do those since I'm starting an Etsy shop. But the whole point of my Etsy shop is to make money, but also to just have fun with it. I'm going to make things that I enjoy making and not necessarily things that are popular. So my goal isn't really to make money, it's more to not lose money doing what I love. So yeah, that is my story and how I learned how to crochet.